All right, and we are live. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another stream, another episode. So I'm excited about this one. This week, I got to have the opportunity to chat with Alyssa here. So Alyssa, I met through the Sub 2 Mastermind. She was another Sub 2 student as well, and definitely got going. Had the opportunity to connect with her on text. And one of the things that stood out to me that she kind of self-identified was it was an integrator. And naturally, I am super fascinated with people who have that integrator type of personality and mindset and just the way they operate. So I do have a business partner. My business partner is an integrator type of guy through and through and through. And I always look at him and I admire people who have those capabilities because I think it's truly a gift that maybe isn't as appreciated sometimes because it isn't super in the spotlight of being an integrator. It's not like super spotlight on stage, but I think it is probably the most crucial part to any type of an organization. So I'm excited to chat about that. So welcome, Alyssa. Thank you for being on here today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So, for real quick, for anybody who's listening here and checking out the replay, tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got into real estate, what's your journey been up until this point, and yeah, how's this been for you? How's this journey been so far for you?
Sure. So I got started in real estate probably 2 years ago.
Hmm.
My boss at my former job is very heavy in the traditional real estate world. He
Okay.
owns several multifamily properties here in Oregon and vacation rentals all over the world, actually. And so being with him pretty much 24/7, I was like, whatever you're doing, I want to do.
Yeah.
So I just started talking to him and his wife, and I would meet with them. At first, I met with them weekly, just about like what my goals were and where I wanted to be and how I could get there. And then it kind of transitioned into because then kind of COVID hit, and so we kind of stopped and then restarted again after COVID. So then it was like kind of monthly. And the goal was, I didn't have any properties. I didn't even have my own primary residence. And so they were kind of just trying to get me to a place where I could do that.
Hmm.
And so after about 2 years, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I have everything saved. I have my credit in a good place. And yeah, and so I was like, okay, let's do this. And again, remember they buy real estate totally the traditional way. Like you save up your money, you go get a loan, you know what I mean? I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about creative finance. They don't really dive into creative finance. And so that was what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I was able to purchase my first home that my daughter and I moved into.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My line of work is college athletics, and I'm traveling 24/7, as you can see now. Well, maybe you don't know, but I'm in a hotel
Yeah.
conference room as we speak. And so I was like, I want to utilize my house as like additional income when I'm on the road because I'm on the road 24/7. So
Hmm.
I made some tweaks to my house. I got a second fridge that's in the garage that we live out of, so I don't have to dirty up my fridge. And like I put a lock on my master bedroom closet, and so all of our clothes are in there, and just little things.
Yeah.
And so that way, my home can be totally like I lock a few spaces when we leave, and then it's totally open to anybody that would come in. So I threw up the house on Airbnb when I was gone,
Yeah.
and it literally was booked every time that I was
That's
on the road.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing and actually super smart to yeah, because if you're not there,
yeah.
so much of the time to make an income from it, have it at least pay for itself. So that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is going like way better than I thought it was going to go. So I was like, I kind of want to just make this full time and see how it goes. And like, I have somewhere else to live. And so I did. Like, we pretty much have like moved out, and it's the calendar is open 24/7. If there happens to be a week that's open or longer than that, we'll go over there and stay over there because that's our house. But
Yeah.
um, I mean, it's pretty much 24/7 Airbnb now.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, that was probably about a year ago. And I really enjoyed what I was doing on Airbnb. I really enjoyed like home ownership and just the process of real estate and how it went. And so, I was kind of on the hunt of like, how can I do this again, but way faster than I did the first time?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to wait another 2 years to get one more house. And so I was just online and researching, and I came across a Facebook group, and it was a group of, well, it's run by a student, but it's for everybody. And he hosted every Tuesday evening, and I randomly found it, and I hopped in, and I loved it. I learned so much, just the conversations of people learning and talking about real estate, everything real estate.
Hmm.
Um, but then they started like throwing around like PACE, and I'm like, who the heck is PACE? I've never heard of PACE. And creative finance and subject to, and they're like, oh yeah, like, and they kind of explain sub to, and then they pointed me to his YouTube channel for just some, general information. And
Hmm.
I was literally binge watching his videos until like 2 in the morning, and I could not get enough. And so that was probably in December of 22. And then in January of 23 is when I ended up joining Sub 2. So that's kind of a little bit of a background for you.
Very cool. So let me ask you about Airbnb real quick because I'm in Orlando, Florida. So
Okay.
as you can imagine, it's a super popular vacation destination. And when Airbnb first came out, it was like the talk of the town here in Orlando. Because imagine everybody's coming to go to Disney. I live 20 minutes away from Disney.
Yeah.
So it was the talk of the town. Everybody was launching up Airbnbs to the point to where it became extremely oversaturated in my market. And when you see these stories about, Airbnb revenue down like 40%, and you see all these articles that are kind of popping up out there, and in my market is absolutely true, if not worse than what those averages are, across the country, just because of there's such an oversaturation here in my market. Let me
Mhm.
ask, in your market with Airbnb, have you guys seen a hefty decline as well, or is it kind of holding firm in your market?
Yeah, so I am not experiencing that at all. But
Good
I
for
think
you.
the benefit for me is my house like is not in a vacation destination. Like my
Yeah.
house is in I wouldn't say a tiny area, but it's just a normal little town in Oregon. And people aren't coming here for vacation. They're coming
Hmm.
here because their daughter is getting married, and they're coming here because they're a construction crew working on the Taco Bell down the road, or they're coming
Mm,
here because their great grandmother is having their 90th birthday and there's a family reunion. So people are
yeah.
always going to do those things no matter
Yeah.
what the economy is. And so, my occupancy is at an average 75% like all year. And,
Good for
during the
you.
high times it's 100%, and during the low times, it could sink down to maybe 60 or something. But people are always coming, and that's the benefit of that. It's like my house, the attraction is not a Disney World, it's more so family and life and work.
Yeah.
So fortunately I am not experiencing the decline in revenue, so yeah, it's been good.
That's so true. Yeah, because naturally when things get tight economically, people take less vacations, and but the stuff that you mentioned, your daughter is getting married, or you have a job that you need to be at or anything, that doesn't change for you economically. You're still going to be at those things. But the economical bonuses of like vacations, Disney World, etc., those things may be cut down for some families during, tougher or tighter economical times. So that makes a lot of sense. So good for you. I'm glad that it hasn't affected you because, and literally in my market, for instance, subject to deals wise, I have a seller who wants to subject to me a deal in a hot market in Central Florida. Now with their mortgage and everything else, even on the Airbnb, it would still lose money. It
Wow.
would still lose money, even, and that's if I booked it out for, I think I was running numbers at like an 80% occupancy, and it still was coming up negative because of how high her mortgage was and how much the vacation rental market is depressed
Mhm.
here. So
Yeah.
good for you. So one of the things you also mentioned to me, and I want to chat a little bit about it, is so it seems like you formed some sort of a team with other students and everything. Talk to me a little bit about that, how that came together, and what role you kind of play on that team.
Yeah. So As we know, fellow Sub 2 students, PACE is always encouraging us to network and connect and make as many friends as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And me being an integrator, I'm kind of an introvert. Not to say all integrators are introverts, but that's just kind of how I am. And so, I heard that information, but I never really acted on it um, until we were in a sub 2 family night Zoom, and Pace like challenged everybody to, we were all trying to make as many friends as we could during the Zoom, and we had to like post like a screenshot of everybody that we had talked to, and like it was like a race to how who could get the most, and then there was some sort of giveaway. I don't remember what it was at this point, maybe fly to his house or something.
Hmm.
um and so I was just reaching out to as many people as I could during that Zoom. And I was just saying, introducing myself and saying what I have and what I need, and then asking the same of them.
Yeah.
And at that time, what I had was being an integrator, and what I needed was a team.
Hmm.
And so one of the people that I was texting, I gave my spiel, and he said, "Wow, well, I have a team, or I'm forming a team, and we are currently looking for an integrator." I was like, "No way, this really works." I was just like so blown away.
Sweet.
Um, yeah. So anyway, we connected and we talked a few times, and then just decided to go ahead and join their team as the integrator. And so there's four of us that like operate as like a main team.
Hmm.
And then we have a couple others that like we bring on as callers. So that's kind of what we're up to now.
Got you. And what is your guys' primary strategy? Is it creative deals and wholesaling them? Is it fix and flips, rentals? What are you guys really focusing on?
Yeah, so they are all creative deals that we're focusing on. Not to say that we don't, ever offer cash or anything, but mostly all creative. We're going
Hmm.
direct to agent,
Okay.
and
So it's direct agent.
low to no equity, and pretty much nationwide. Um, so we just closed on one in Colorado. We have one locked up in Mississippi, one in Idaho, and we're working on another one in Colorado, actually. So it's kind of just all over, but that's the strategy: is low to no equity and nationwide.
Wow. So you guys are
Um,
covering a big area.
yeah, yeah, we are.
How do you I can't even comprehend. See, my real estate career, now, quick synopsis on my real estate career is, I focused in on Central Florida and doing wholesale and fix and flips. So it was easy for me. I knew those markets. Then I started doing a little bit more of Florida. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I'm really doing well in Florida. I'm making over $1 million here in Central Florida. Let me just go into the Southeast United States. Let me focus on some more states. And that was a big mistake for me. I did not have that set up, and it all kind of came crashing down on me. All these other states, I ended up losing a bunch of money trying to do deals in these other states and markets that I didn't know. So how do you guys kind of navigate being such a wide net that you guys are casting?
Yeah, so within our team, I would say we're very well networked within Sub 2.
That's
And
good.
so, you know, obviously we have some primary filters, like even if it's the most amazing deal, if it's in like a rural area that we know no one's going to buy, we're not going to lock it up.
Hmm.
Um, but so it's kind of like on a case by case basis that like we kind of pursue these deals, and as they become warm or hot leads, we'll kind of analyze like, is this worth pursuing? Do we know people that could be boots on the ground there? Do we have other leaders in Sub 2 that we could call on and ask for advice about this particular home? So I mean, that's kind of been our strategy, is like, yes, we're nationwide, but we're being like more strategic and smart about it. Like, do we know people there? Can we call on people there before we lock it up?
Yeah. That's fantastic. And actually, one of the key things you said, and it seems like it's been a little bit of a trend around your real estate career, is your network and the people and the team and everything else. So that's such a good point because and now that I think back on when I tried to explode into all these different states, I didn't have a network. I didn't have a group of people. It was all me and what our team was doing. It was us and our team. There was nobody really else. And it makes sense why everything kind of crashed back down on us and we ended up withdrawing out of all these states and just going back to our core market was because we didn't have the network and the many people in the community around us in these other states. This was before I joined Sub 2 as well.
Mhm.
Um, So that makes a lot of sense, and kudos to you for being able to develop those relationships to kind of get your real estate career going. So that's amazing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention about that being nationwide is our team has this like it's a primary like focus or core principle you could say of our team is just like an abundance mindset and
Hmm.
and not scarcity mindset. And so, the idea of reaching out to another student that's in another market and bringing them in on it, even if that means less money for me, like,
Yeah,
hey, we closed a deal, we formed a relationship with an agent, and so like in our minds it's a win. Like even if you get a little less money, it's like you've formed relationships with multiple people that are going to continue to bring you money down the line. So that's a big thing for us. It's like I'm not nervous to reach out to a leader in Mississippi and bring them on and cut them in on this deal, because that just like then we all win.
yeah. So good. That's so good, and such good points there around just your network and who you surround yourself with. So really, really good. Even going back to before when you were in sub two, and you mentioned that, I believe you said it was your boss who had all these rentals and stuff, and you knew that you wanted to have him in your circle, and
Mhm.
whether it was meeting weekly or monthly, you still made that happen. So kudos to you for um, being purposeful around who you put yourself around. So that's really, really cool, and really yeah, more people should do that. More people should be like to be purposeful about who they put themselves around.
Yeah.
So very cool. So as far as being an integrator on the team on a day-to-day basis, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So right now, my main focus is developing our SOPs, so
Uh-huh.
standard operating procedures, because we have big goals that we're trying to
Yeah.
get to within the next year. And one of them being is we want to scale ourselves out at some point, and be able to have other people in place. And so for me, is just kind of really outlining the steps that each of us are doing in our roles, and to be able to hand that over to somebody else one day and say, here you go, here's what you should be doing. If you have questions, of course, come to me and let me know, but here's a good start, type of thing. And so for me, that's one big thing that I'm focusing on each day. Another big thing is just systems. We use a variety of different things, whether that's like Trello, once things get to a certain point, or obviously our CRM. And so just making sure that those items are clean, operating the way they should, making sure all the team members are, performing in the standard operating
Yeah.
procedures that I've kind of developed. And so that's another big piece. Um, I'm a big thing is we're really trying to start tracking our KPIs better. So I've developed like
Yes.
a way for us to do that and just really tracking it. Again, because of the goals, it's like, okay, well, here's the goal, and here's the where we're currently at, and if we continue to be there, this is how long it's going to take us to get to the goal based on the numbers that we're at. So that's another big piece. There's lots of other little things from day to day, but those are the main things.
Yeah, KPIs is a big thing, and I don't want people to underestimate tracking your business. It's really, really important. And I give the analogy of if you are trying to scale your business and your business isn't tracked, it's kind of like trying to play darts in the dark. You're throwing darts, you're trying to hit the thing that would make your business grow or hit the target in the dark, but the lights aren't on. Versus if you actually just track your business, it's like turning on the lights and you're like, oh, now I can see where my target is. I can see what I need to do to improve, whether it's more calls, better conversion, more leads, better lead conversion, etc. There's a number of different things it could be. But without you tracking your business, you don't really know what the squeaky wheel is in order to be able to scale it up. So, because that's one thing that my business partner, whom is an integrator, really was very, very, we call it a scorecard. And I don't know, are you familiar with the book Traction?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
Yeah, so with that integrator kind of name kind of came from that book, and it's a business book about the visionary and integrator relationships. He has another book as well called Rocket Fuel, and basically, once an integrator and a good visionary kind of come together, they call that rocket fuel. So he has another book about it. But yeah, that whole entire concept of a scorecard came from that book. It's long the same book that also came up with the concept of an integrator in your business. But so important, so crucially important. So very cool. So where I'd like to go now. So I have a few, and I call them hot seat questions. And they are nothing to do with real estate. It is just strictly fun questions about you. And I like to ask everybody these questions because I'm always interested in people's answers and where they kind of go with it. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to throw some hot seat questions at you.
Sure, I'd love to.
Awesome, awesome. So question number one: if you can have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why would you choose that person?
Hmm, that is a great question. Um, and by historical meaning like they've passed or
They
like
could,
just anybody.
they could be alive, dead, they are anybody in history. Anybody in history who you want to have dinner with.
Yeah, I would say probably Steve Jobs. Like just somebody that is was an entrepreneur like myself, but at a
Yeah,
very high level and somewhere that
yeah,
I would want to be. Um, I hate to use the word pick your brain, but like, I mean, I would just love to hear his story, but deeper than what's available on the internet. Like, I would love to get to know him as a person and,
yeah,
what was really important to him, what he focused on. There's so many little details that I would love to know that you can't just go find on the internet. I would love to just follow him around for the day and, see how his day flowed and where his efficiencies were and who he got phone calls from, like because I want to talk to that person next, or
yeah.
so I think that's what I would do is like I'd just love to spend the day with Steve Jobs and just like learn everything I could and soak it all up.
Yeah, imagine how cool it would be just to, like you mentioned, just a day with somebody like that and just to see how they operate. And
Mhm.
because we look at these people and we're like, how are they able to accomplish so much, like in such short period of times? Even Pace, for he's constantly going doing this and that. It's got this going and that going and this going. And a lot of us we look at it like, holy smokes, how are they able to accomplish so much in the
Mhm.
same day?
Yeah.
So to follow somebody like that, like to Steve Jobs level, and just to understand what you mentioned, like what is he actually focused on? Who is he actually talking to on the phone? Who is he not talking to? Who is he purposely interacting with and not interacting with? That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah. And one other point on that is like, I mean, I'm very much of the mind that and kind of, I mean, it's kind of shows in who I've kind of surrounded myself with, but like if I have a goal and I have something that I want to do, I'm going to find the person that's doing that well and I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to, force myself into their circle somehow, provide some sort of value to be able to like talk to them and imitate what it is that they're doing because obviously they're doing something well. I want to know what it is so I can replicate it and be able to do the same.
Yeah, yeah. So cool. Such a good answer. Okay, question number two. What is a hobby or interest that you have that probably would surprise some people if they kind of knew, like, hey, I'm into this actually.
I will tell you one I used to do, but I no longer have time for. But I absolutely loved it, just like with my integrator brain and trying to piece things together and how it would all work. But
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever seen the show Extreme Couponer, but
I have. So before I got into real estate, I actually worked at public supermarkets,
okay,
which is supermarkets here, and those people would come through, and I would
yes,
be shocked. They would have four carts of stuff, and their order would be like 35 cents.
yes, this was me. Part of me is embarrassed to say, but it's also pretty dang cool. My claim to fame was one time I went to Walmart and I got $700 worth of stuff, and they paid me $19.
Holy
So
smokes!
yeah, but it was
Wow.
it was like a full time job. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I can't spend the whole day doing this. So
Yeah, that's funny. So funny. Just a quick funny side story around that. So my wife, love her to death, is a teacher, but she's also a spender. Let's be honest. My wife is a spender. She enjoys spending money, and she wants to get at it. She wants to get teaching, kind of do the stay at home mom thing. We have two boys, and I was like, absolutely fine, cool. But And I'm like, all right, so what are you gonna do to like, like make money, because there's things that she wants to do, and I know she likes to spend. And one of the things that she suggested was, well, what if I just become like an extreme couponer, and and she's like, with all the money I can save, then instead of buying groceries, you can give me that money, and then that would be how I earn money. And I was like, no, it doesn't work like that. But that was her suggestion for things that she can do. Was she was like, I'll be like a couponer and like become really organized with it. And she had a small kick with it to where she actually bought like a coupon book, like,
Yeah.
to like kind of like sort her coupons out. But as you mentioned, it's like a full-time job. And I think that lasted maybe like a week for her
Yeah.
until she was like, yeah, this is a lot more than actually, it's not as easy as just, taking your newspaper clips, scissoring some things out and just taking it up
Mhm.
to the store.
Yeah, it's like a real plan. You gotta, yep.
So very cool. Awesome. That's super interesting and actually a little funny as well. So that's let me ask you a third question here. And then we're going to kind of start to wrap this up. But can you share a key lesson or piece of advice that would you say significantly influenced your journey just as a human so far? What is a piece of advice, or just something that's really affected you, and you're like, wow, I'm going to kind of carry this in my life journey, and this is a lesson for me to learn.
Yeah, I would say, kind of going back to that scarcity mindset and just collaboration. I
Yeah.
would say before sub two, I I did not think that way at all. It was like, how can I make as much money as I can by myself? I need it for this and to put my daughter in this school and to be, and
Yeah.
it was all about me and what I could do and how I could get there as fast as I could by myself.
So
And
good.
since joining sub two and hearing Pace talk and the leaders talk and everybody's talk is like stop thinking that's so limiting. The way you're thinking is like, if you open up your network, bring other people on, I mean, we can all win, we can all collaborate together, and that doing that like just opens up more opportunities. People know your name, they know your face. They can lean on you. Some newer people can come to you and ask for advice because they know that you're willing to share your knowledge and what you have going on. And I mean, kind of like I mentioned before, is just like I have no problem bringing on somebody else and making less money to
Hmm.
form a lasting relationship that's going to carry on, down the road. And whether that's we work together again in a month or we work together again in 10 years, ultimately bringing them on in the first place and making less the first time has brought me more. So that has just been like huge to me. It's how I, honestly opened up my mind and found my team. It's like, we're splitting our assignments on every deal. So yeah, I'm making less than I would have on
Hmm.
every deal that I'm doing. But if I really think about it, would I be as far as I am right now doing 3 to 5 deals a month without my team? No.
Yeah.
So, that has been something that is so huge, and I am so grateful to have been presented with that type of thinking and that mindset. And it's like, this is cool to think this way. And, it's like,
Yeah.
you don't have to just be about yourself to yourself. It's like, let's bring as many people on as we can and let's all make money together.
So good. That's so good. Such a good piece of advice for everybody, and the lesson that I had to learn too. And sub two really kind of forced me into that lesson. So good. Well, awesome. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here with me. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, Alyssa's over in California, so it's a little bit of early morning for her, especially on a Saturday. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Let me ask you, how can anybody reach out to you? What's your social media, so somebody can reach out to you if they want to plug in, connect with you, potentially do any deals with you? How can they reach out to you?
Of course. I would say Instagram's probably the best way. I'm most active on there. And my handle is Alyssa Ray Whitney. I'll shoot you a text maybe and you can tag it in the stream or something. But
Yep.
that's the best way, is just shoot me a DM and yeah, we'll go from there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your time. Thank you, everybody. Any last words, Alyssa, before we go ahead and wrap this up?
just collaborate, man. Just reach out to as many people as you can, make friends, network. It's been a game changer for me.
Awesome. Absolutely. Likewise, wholeheartedly agree. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.
Bye.